Think we're live now. Hi everyone, welcome. I'm going to try to share. I'm going to try to so everyone, welcome to this session. As soon as you arrive, Um, I like to see you comment on the session and just let us know where you're joining from. Introduce yourself and tell us what you do, and let us know where you're joining from. Um, while we take that, so just a second. Um, so while you're here, let me just mention that I just want to believe that my screen is it's up. Can you help me confirm? My screen is up. Is that so? Just let me know when you're here, everyone. Yep. Okay, good. So while we wait, give if two more minutes for more people to join us. I like to just say use this opportunity to just talk about a few things. So first off, welcome to Wave Chat. Wave Chat the, is an avenue for us to meet with inspirational founders doing amazing stuff across the length and breadth of Africa, with the hope of inspiring people to show that things are possible. All right. Today we have Soji Ogunnaike with us. Last week we had Harry Ugoji with us, and it was an amazing session. And today promises to be yet an amazing session that we're going to have with Soji. I've known Soji for several years now. We met online several years back, and has been we've been we've been keeping in touch since then, and I can say that I can see the growth. But what's important for me in this conversation today is the fact that Soji is um, someone in the media space and in the creative space. And a lot of times when we discuss these things within the community, a lot of people believe that the startup is only for tech people. I'm sure Soji will be laughing and smiling when I say these things, but that's the kind of stuff that we hear a lot of times when we discuss startup and ventures, right? But Soji is in the creative space. He's a producer, creative director, executive producer. So we're going to be hearing a lot from him. But before I ask Soji, I get Soji on. I like to mention that Pin Foundation is one of um, one of the NGOs that are supporting the ecosystem in within the region, um, and they're currently asking people to go ahead and give them feedback. So this survey basically is understand to help them understand what they should be doing because they are actually planning their next 5 years, right? They want to be able to know how people perceive what they've done so far and to understand what they should be doing in the next 5 years in order to know how to allocate their resources. So this is like saying to everyone, hey, come and let us know how you think we can support you better. right? So if you are part of the ecosystem, regardless of where you are joining from, please go to the link bit.ly/pindpsr, okay? Strategic Review Survey, Participatory Strategic Review Survey. So please go ahead and fill out that form. Hopefully, my people will share this link again in the chat so that you can go ahead and do this for us. So with that said, I'm heading over to the comments now to see who is there and recognize those that have just come in. So before we start the conversation with Soji. Yep. Um, so if you're here, yeah, I can see quite a number of people online right now. Please go ahead and help introduce yourself in the comment. Just say who you are, your name, and where you're joining from. I will read out your name here. I'll just give you 160 seconds to do that. I was hoping to see a lot of comments, a lot of chats already. 60 seconds to do that. Just let us know who you are joining from, where you're joining, your name and where you're joining from, and possibly who you are, what you do if you want. Just 60 seconds and we'll start the conversation. And let me also say that if you're already here, do us a favor of sharing the link with everyone else. Okay? Share the link with everyone else so that we can have more people join. And if you have questions for such, put them in the comments and we'll read out those questions in due time as we have the conversation. So, with that said, all those formalities off the way, I like to just say a big welcome to Soji Ogunnaike. Like I said before, Soji is the creative director of Russian Tap Studios, and Soji has many years of experience as a video and content developer and producer. And Russian Tap is it's a major studio. In fact, Russian Tap Studio is a major content and video development hub in the Lekki axis of Lagos, producing produced so many programs, including Cowbellpedia. I don't know how many of you have seen Cowbellpedia, and, and just recently in January.
Okay, I think we lost them.
Hey guys, sorry, I'm not sure what happened to that, but I'm back, and that's what's important, right? So I was just trying to say that Russian Tap is the producer of Cowbellpedia and Checkout, which is on African Magic, an African Magic Originals. So I don't want to say all the things because then there will be nothing for Soji to say. So I'd like to welcome Soji. Soji, you're welcome to Wave Chat by Startup South.
Oh, hi, OJ. It's an honor to be here. I feel very honored, to be honest, to be one of those that you consider worthy of sitting or joining this live chat.
Awesome. Awesome. Um, you and I have been. I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to remember. I think you and I connected. It was from Silicon Africa.
Silicon
Um,
Africa, yeah.
Silicon Africa several years ago. Circa 2013, I think 2013 thereabout. Yeah, and then you were still where were you working then? I think you were still coming up then as
So
Um,
then at 2013,
mhm.
actually, I mean, I've been in video production all my life.
Okay.
However, I've always been a nerd. I've always been a techie. I've always
Mhm.
been interested in tech and the startup ecosystem.
Mhm.
So websites like Ventures for Africa, I'm always there following all the
Mhm.
accounts, reading all the news, knowing what's going on. I have friends in the startup ecosystem. I have friends that had running startups.
Mhm.
I knew that, you know, I kind of like was a ghost member of the startup ecosystem
Mhm.
because, I mean, I used to go to CC Hub. I mean, what am I doing
Yeah.
as a media person going to
Yeah.
CC Hub? You get what I'm saying?
Mhm.
But something about the way the startup ecosystem was structured always excited me because number one, that word they had structure, which is one of the
Yeah.
biggest things we lack in the creative entrepreneurial ecosystem. I want to I want to be very vague in categorizing the kind of businesses that fall into that. So especially when it comes to TV and film, structure is one of our biggest issues. So I knew that I needed to find a way to merge that structure that was found in the startup ecosystem with what I was doing anyway, which was my bread and butter. So as at that 2013, I was running a production company. I was running, so it was initially called 601 Real Time. That was the first. I founded that in 2006, and the aim was essentially to just service clients, produce TV and produce commercials. That was our initial aim, and that was a niche that we decided to focus on. Um, Commercials, documentaries for brands, for the corporate clients. So yeah, so then towards that 2013, I realized that this is not a very healthy business or sustainable business um, because of what the clients were targeting, all of the all the money that we're able to earn comes from their marketing budget. And when there's an economic downturn, where's the first budget that is going to be slashed? Is marketing budget. So I knew that we cannot focus solely on that and grow a big or highly profitable business. So yeah, that was in 2013. I was trying to figure out how to reposition, how to figure out the next step. So yeah, that's where we met.
Yeah, that's actually interesting. Yes, I remember 601 601
Real time.
production, real time productions. Yeah, I remember that now. Um and I remember how all of that. So I think because the question I was going to basically ask you was to say, give me a bit of your background.
Okay, so a bit of my background. I have a very interesting background. So let me start from university. I don't think you want to hear the boring primary school life I had.
You may want to just
University
tell us all of it. Maybe somebody
okay.
can pick some.
I've always been fascinated by computers. Always. I always knew that computers would be a part of who I was going to be, or what I was going to do, or the the money I was going to earn as an individual. I always knew that. So I was highly fortunate to have my dad. I'm eternally grateful to buy a computer for. He called the computer for the house. I was the only one using it, so it was my computer. So that was in 1996 or 96 or 97. I'm not sure. So it was a Pentium 166 heads. Was it 66 or 166 heads? Very funny. You know the way those old systems used to be. You put them on and you know. However, I was grateful because that opened my mind to see things that were happening, and I was lucky enough to have an internet connection as well. And so I mean, I literally was sleeping on that computer. I was checking everything. Before there was Yahoo, I had Yahoo, if you get what I mean. Before there was Yahoo, before people knew what Yahoo was, we already had email addresses. We already had, I don't know how many of you remember the search engines called Lycos, Excites, and what have you. So those were our TikTok, if you got what I mean. We were always on those search engines to see what was going on, to read about what was happening in other parts of the world. So yeah, that happened up until I got admission into Unilag, and I got admission to study physics, applied physics and electronics, which was what uh, JAMB unfortunately gave us. So um, yeah. But I mean, so the
Okay.
funny thing is, when I was in secondary school, I was one of those bright chaps, first in class,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and but when I got into Unilag, I was literally first in major of physics, chemistry, biology in secondary school. I had one of the best results in my ec in the school. But when I got into Unilag, I don't know how to explain it, but a sort of shift happened in my brain that I
Mm-hmm.
knew, yo, all of this ethical thing that you've been doing, it's not going to get you anywhere. You know, no offense to the sciences, no offense to the researchers and all, but I just knew that I wanted a lot more than reading what was in textbooks and pouring out on exam sheets. I just knew that it wasn't enough for me. I wanted to create. So that was how my journey started. So I had a computer at home. I went to Unilag. I met a couple of people in Unilag. Um, there's a guy called Femi Taiwo. Uh, he's a big shot now. I don't even know Init is a very big IT company. I think they designed
Okay.
did the INEC or the NIMS server, the NIMS, what your NIN server essentially.
Okay.
They designed all the backend. Yeah. So Femi
Okay.
Taiwo met, and Femi Taiwo was someone I'd known before we got into Unilag. But when we got there, we connected again, and we met a who we used to call chairman. So he was a businessman, and he wanted to set up the first cafe, cyber cafe, in New Hall. For those that are familiar with Unilag, there's an area called New Hall. So he set up that's cafe. He actually set up the first one in Faculty of Science. Sorry, before moving to. So we're the ones that actually set up the cafe. We crimped all the network cables. We assembled all the systems.
Okay.
If you knew how to do it, your kids that knew how to do all these things anyway, right? And we're there assembling in clients, I think about 8 systems, in New Hall, about 30 systems. With about 5 guys assembling 30
And
systems.
and you
And it
worked
was
and you
big.
worked and you
Yeah, it
worked there
was
as
big.
well. And
So
you worked there as well.
I also worked there. We also worked there, shifts because it wasn't about the money. I'm not going to tell my dad I was working, but I wanted,
Okay.
obviously, I wanted free internet. Then um, I also just was always excited by computers and the internet. So I took the job anyway as a cafe attendant, and yeah, in my I mean in my second year was when I started meeting some very interesting people. A couple of them were programmers, a couple of them were then I met one of my friends in physics department. His elder brother had graduated and got a job as a Java programmer. I think it was a company called Simfix. Was it Simfix? Yeah, I think it was Simfix. It's one of the fairly old IT companies we have today. And we used to look at him like a god. This guy's entered there. He's doing IT, he's earning from IT. He's a Java programmer. is hanging with the big boys, and I thought that programming was what I was called to do. So I started learning Java, HTML. I learned a bit about HTML, but I knew that there would be tools that would make it easy anyway because I already knew how to use Photoshop. And I knew that before there was
Mhm.
Photoshop, there were harder methods to make designs. So, and I knew that websites will follow the same path. There will be tools that will come and disrupt it. Just so learning HTML was a waste of my time. I knew that. I don't know how I knew it. I knew that learning HTML coding was a waste of my time. So I tried to do Java because then Java was hard because the games on Java, there were all sorts of applets that could do all sorts of things on Java. So I started to learn.
Mm.
I looked at over this thing hard. What those of you that programmers, now more Java is not for the small boys. So I'm like, okay, this thing gets us a deal, you know. And then I met a guy, you know, who used to do 3D animation, and that was when I knew that yes, this is what I want to do, right? Mind you, I knew how to use Corel Draw. I knew how to use uh, Photoshop, and all of this was self-taught. When you spend enough time around the computer and dedicate enough hours, you know, there's a popular saying: if you spend 10,000 hours on a particular thing, you become a master at some point. So that's what really happened to me. You know, I, I loved creating. I learned Corel Draw, I learned Photoshop, and I said, okay, yeah, these are the things that'll be useful to me later on. So I met that guy that was doing using a software called 3D Studio Max, and um, it was 3D Studio Max is essentially a lot of arithmetic in the software because it's not
Mhm.
a lot of drag and drop because it's a lot of arithmetic that you're doing, you know, calculating
This
vertices.
was this was obviously early 2000.
Yeah, 2000.
Mhm.
This was 2000. Yeah, exactly 2000.
Yeah, because I know that I know the evolution of all of those things, right? And
Yeah.
you know,
So yeah, we got our hands
the,
dirty.
the reason I asked you if you worked there is that it's possible I had met you in Unilag at the time. I didn't school in Unilag, but I know I'd come to Unilag, Yakoka area. Those days when I come for Trem, I would come for Trem Kingdom Life, right?
Okay.
And at Kingdom Life conference in Trem, I would go to Unilag and I will go around the place. And those days I would go to the cafes. So when you talked about the cafe, it must be one of those cafes that I'd gone into, because I
It was
used
called
to,
PMG at the time.
yeah,
PMG.
because I used to do a lot of wandering,
Yeah, it was the
and
hottest cafe to be honest on
mhm,
campus. I mean,
mhm.
they had VSAT's connection. It was amazing.
Yeah. That was when you had the likes of um, I'm trying to remember their name now by this Link Serve. When you had the likes of Link
Links couldn't
Serve.
meet up. Links couldn't meet up
Yeah.
because to power 30 systems on the internet, you
Uh-huh.
needed something, you needed bandwidth, and the internet was expensive then.
Really.
And there was
Yeah.
no plan. It was you were buying gigabytes. So
Mm-hmm.
imagine buying gigabytes for a cafe. So imagine how
Mm-hmm.
much money the business was spending to run. So I mean,
Yeah.
these were
Yeah.
the things that
So
I also was learning. That okay, yeah,
awesome.
learn cost of doing business and all.
Interesting. So let's talk about your venturing into video production. I think that was what you wanted to talk about when you talked about 3D Max, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So let's talk about venturing into studio video production. But what exactly was the catch for you?
Okay, so I was talking about 3D Max, and as a matter of fact, I actually started my career as an animator. So
Okay.
I started creating stuff, and I did. I mean, in Unilag, because I knew Photoshop, I was one of the founding members of Harvesters, the popular
Okay.
Harvesters today. It started in Unilag. So I was one
Yeah.
of the founding members, and I was in the media department, obviously, and I was designing all the posters, right?
That means you knew the likes of Jimmy. Jimmy wasn't in Harvesters, but you should know Jimmy. Jimmy, what's that his surname now? You know when they used to have AEFX, always effective for Christ.
Yeah. I
Um,
did all of
you
that.
know, always effective for
Possibilities,
Christ.
the ones that
AC Motive,
yeah.
AC Motive, and all of those guys, all those groups, rap groups, right? So
So I
the
mean,
reason,
the rooftop MC guys were my friends,
okay, great,
Yeah, so
great, great.
so
So
I mean, so I was doing posters. I mean, as a matter of fact, I was making money from posters because I started doing the ones for investors, and obviously we're getting gigs. I was getting gigs from other fellowships to do
mhm.
posters, and it was not just design; it was design and print. And printing is where the money was. So I was a
Yeah,
regular Shomolu. So my
yeah,
mates were going to class and going for tutorials.
yep.
How the Shomolu on top of Okada cutting plates, if you know the
Cutting,
process, part of the process.
doing lithography, filling and
I was up
exposure,
to date. And I was making money. I
buying
mean,
pa- buying papers,
I didn't even need
counting
my
impressions.
pocket money. I was writing there, Shomolu. And I mean,
Yeah,
the thing with Shomolu, they always respect people that knew, the technical aspects of things. So
yeah.
we're already making name in the market. But
Mm-hmm,
anyway, so I
mm-hmm.
got into 3D animation, started playing around with it. Um, a good friend of mine who was also my roommate, his name is Chuka Ophelia. I don't know if you know him. He's
Chuka
a Google
Ofili,
mentor.
right?
Yeah, he's a Google mentor as well today.
Mm-hmm.
He worked with Meta. I think now he's in Florida Wave. I'm not sure,
Okay.
but it's now based in the UK. So I mean, we were staying in the same room, so we were able to get a faster computer. It was a Pentium 3 at the time, which was one of the fastest things you know anybody could do. So I was using that for using for 3D animation,
This was
you
this
render
was
stuff.
before Pentium 4 and AMD.
Pentium, hey, Pentium 3 waiting to render.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, so I mean, so I started playing with, I started creating a few things and storing it into my portfolio. So I think it was then I started playing with Premiere, Adobe Premiere as well. So the thing with video editing is if you don't have enough material to use to tell a story, I didn't have a camera. Where was I going to get footage from? So I was essentially using render 3D stuff to practice, editing, and
Mhm.
that's how I started playing with editing. However, I met TA, the comedian,
Okay.
uh, and at the time he was partnered with DJ T, who then was a very popular DJ and music video director. He did a lot of
Mm.
videos for Mo Hits then,
Mhm.
um, the band and Don Jazzy. So it was very popular. So they were partners. So we met, and then Tia was looking for someone to help out. He had this Time Out to Tia TV show, right? And they were looking for someone to help out with the animation, the graphics, and
Mm.
you know the editing. So I took up that job,
Mhm.
which required me. I think I was to go to his office in GRA Keja twice a week. Is it twice? Yeah,
Okay.
I think it was twice a week. So I used to go to GRA Keja twice a week. By the way, for those that are familiar with the university system, physics is not an easy course, right? So my grades suffered. It's a sacrifice. I knew that it was a sacrifice I had to make. So it's not going to be. It wasn't easy. I knew that I was never going to use a degree. Yeah, call me stubborn or whatever. I knew I was never going to use the degree, and I knew that it was a sacrifice I had to make. So I had to find the balance. So okay, if I can find the few hours to do the exams, do the tests, get a 2-2, I'm fine. Even though my dad won't be too happy because he expects me, bright kid, first in class, secondary school, to get like a first class or a 2-1 at least. But I didn't care about it because I knew I was never going to use the degree. So I mean, I hustled to get the tutu on side. So I'm a graduate. Anyway, so I went, I was doing the job with TA, and the thing with production or media is like any other industry. The more you work, the better you become.
The better
You
you
see those
become.
hours,
Yeah.
you have to put in those
Like
hours. There is
like the
no way to get
10,000
better.
hour rule.
Yeah, there is no way to get better. You have to clock those hours.
Mm.
So I had to. It was a term we use in the industry, studio rat. I was a studio rat for many years. I was
Mm.
literally spending 2 3 days straight in the studio, not going anywhere. All you do is work, work, work,
Mhm.
edit. When it's time to render, go and sleep. Click render, go and sleep. Come back, hope that it doesn't
Mm.
crash. Click render, go and sleep. That was my
Nice.
life. Get back to school,
Nice.
attend 1 or 2 lectures, and go. So that was my life for about a year.
So
Um, so I then got into in 2001 or 2000, yeah, 2001 thereabout. I got a job. See me, I was looking for a job as if I didn't have a father and mother. Yeah, and as a matter of fact, it caused a very big rift between me and my dad. Because he was like,
okay.
"Why?" When he found out, he was very upset. He almost sued me. But anyway, we'll get to that later. And um, so I got a job in a company called Audiovisual First, sorry, AV.com, sorry, which was
Avia.
at the time the biggest production companies. If you remember this show called Your Choice, sponsored by Joy Soap. Your Choice was like a family
Yes.
game show. So,
Yeah.
and they were also using Love Venture, sponsored by Bacchus
Hmm.
Wine. So I
Yeah.
got a job
Bacchus tonic wine.
exactly. So I got a job. I was able to graduate. I had an extra year, by the way, because I had to redo my projects
But
2 times.
yeah, yeah,
That's
but it
the
didn't
overall.
matter to it didn't matter to you because you
I
you were not
didn't.
you were not going to do physics.
I didn't care. So
Okay.
so I was able to graduate. Anyway,
Mm.
so I was then working with AV.com. That's why I made a name because the industry was still very small.
Mhm.
Because I was doing 3D animation in the company. I was doing all their opening montages for all their shows. I was editing as well. And it then started giving me that name. People started hearing about me. People started asking, okay, who did this? I was getting a few calls. So it was a combination of that full time gig with a salary of 23,000, yeah, 23,000 at the time, and the side gigs, which we call
Mhm.
people.
Yeah.
so I was combining that, and yeah, I was putting in the hours as usual. Um, what happened was um, there was this software called, or there is this software, it still exists, called Avid. It's an editing software.
Okay.
We were using Premiere for two reasons. The interface was much easier, and two, the brightest soft copy was available in Kenya. So that's how we were
Okay.
able to use, because none of us could afford the original uh, software.
Yeah.
None of
I,
not even the
I'm sorry. I'm sorry to cut in, right? I still continue to wonder why the software are still that expensive, and even when they have the subscription version, I mean, so maybe expensive to Africans. I don't know.
it's still expensive. I mean, the Adobe Creative Suite is still about $60 today per month. Anyway, we'll be
mhm.
all right.
Yeah.
So
Well, but let's talk about starting 601
okay, let me
601.
finish. Let me finish. So there's an important, you know, journey that
Okay.
I want to share, especially for the young ones.
Okay.
Um, so I said we're using Adobe essentially for editing. That was
Hmm.
the most popular software. However, there was this software called Avid, which is what Hollywood studios, Hollywood post-production houses use. As a matter of fact, it was like bragging rights. It's like saying you can drive a
Okay.
Toyota, but you can drive a Formula One car. That's the difference between me and you, right? So I was
Mm-hmm.
able to find the crack version of Avid, and that's how I installed it and started learning. It was hard. It was totally different from Premiere. It was, I mean, the user interface is different. The UX is totally different. But I
Mm.
knew that I needed that skill set. One day it will pay off, right? So I learned it,
Yeah.
and I started, playing with it in the office, where I was working. I was av.com. So there was a day I was introduced to this man called Mr. Bayo. I was a filmmaker at that time, old filmmaker, and he invited me to. He wanted me to color grade his film that he had shot. So he
Mm.
invited me to come and look at it at another studio in IBST. It was in Ogudu at the time. So while IBST is owned by Mr. Remy Okupito, it's also a very big production company. They've been around. They actually produced the first Big Brother, but we'll get there. Um, so I was there in the waiting room, with my laptop. Avid was running because I had another job to quickly finish while I was waiting for this client to come and give me his brief. So
Mm-hmm.
while I was playing with Avid on my laptop, they were running. I don't know if you know this soap opera, Doctor's Quarters for Mnet then. It
Okay.
was a film, yeah. So they had foreigners, South Africans, basically in there because they were part of the production. So while I was on the laptop, so one of the directors passed behind me and he came back. I was like, "Is that Avid?"
Mm-hmm.
I kid you not. This is this is shit that you write in the film, right?
Yes.
Uh, he passed by. I was like, "Is that Avid?" I said, "Yes." He's like, "You use Avid?" I said, "Yes." And then freaked out. I said, "Why haven't we met this chap?" Because they were
Why?
like, "Haven't we met this chap?"
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Then goes, "Yo, you now call the producer. Yo, organize a test for him now. If it passes, he's joining our crew now."
Interesting.
That's how I got my first gig, a six-figure gig at that time. Small boy
Interesting.
like they paid me six figures,
Interesting.
because I knew Avid.
Interesting.
From there, they produced from the first project. They now produced Amstel Malta Box Office, the first season. I was editor on that. I was lead editor on that one, and they were so impressed with the way, because speed is very important as an editor. So they were so
Yeah.
impressed with the way I was, going about it and really editing fast. Then we finished. Sorry.
Sorry.
So we finished Amstel Malta
Mm-hmm.
box office, and they were preparing for Big Brother. They just got the Big Brother contract. That's Big Brother Nigeria in 2006.
Okay.
Excuse me. So yeah, they got the Big Brother contract and they're preparing for it. So me, I assumed that, okay, I mean, these guys are impressed with me as an editor. They will want me to be an editor on Big Brother.
Mm-hmm.
Then I get a call, which was Mario, who was the director. He
Mm-hmm.
then goes, "Yo, Soji, I know, you think, well, you're going to be an editor, but I believe that you can be a technical director. I've seen you work. I've seen you on set. I've seen you in the editing room, and you have what it takes to be a technical director." And this was 2006. I was the youngest technical
Interesting.
director, there were five of us. So that's how I got my technical director gig on Big Brother Nigeria in 2006. Big money,
Interesting.
big money for my age,
Interesting.
and yeah, that was when things started kicking off really, and right after Big Brother in 2006, that's when I set up 61 Real Time. I'm like, yo, I think I've gathered experience, I've learned a bit of
Yeah.
technical, learned a bit of business, registered the company. We had our first office in Ikeja, off 20th Street. And besides
Yeah.
getting commercials, it was good. And but then again, like I said, you can't just base your entire business on just marketing on other
Mm-hmm.
brands budgets. So I
Mm-hmm.
saw you knew as a business owner, you knew where you were flatlining. You knew that
Yeah.
no more growth, and
Yeah.
it's not a fault of yours. It's just the sector, the niche that you chose. So
Yeah.
you need to do something about it. So that's what brought me to 2013 when we
Yeah.
met. And then
Yeah.
I was at that point,
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I have to do something. Yeah. So I decided that yeah, content was the way to go. I said, okay,
Mm.
that's how Russian Tap was born. Got two people who were initially part of the Russian Tap team. I said, look, let's
Mm-hmm.
focus on content, and we created our first drama series called Plus Two Three
Okay.
Four, 2014.
Okay.
Um, So that was interesting because at the time the model for a lot of series was the sponsorship model where you produce it, find money, buy airtime, then look for sponsors to put ad spots on your show and plus
Yeah.
or minus margin. That was the model, and because I didn't have any relationship with
Yeah.
the media buying agencies who are usually responsible for where the ads go. I didn't have a relationship with them, and I knew already it was highly political at the time. I
Mm-hmm.
decided to explore the licensing model. So there's quite a number of things that happened, which I'm not sure I want to share here. I mean, we, Plus
Okay.
Two Three Four was set in. It was about a call center, right? So the
Okay.
idea, because I'd worked so much with brands producing commercials, I kind of knew what brands wanted. So
Mm-hmm.
we created Plus Two Three Four to for telcos essentially, any of the
Yeah.
three telcos. Then, so it was supposed to be owned by a telco to then demonstrate their process, demonstrate the effectiveness of the staff, and
Mm-hmm.
there were, I mean, in the call center, there are places to put posters on the wall, branding here and there, but on paper, people didn't really get it. And
Mm-hmm.
so what we did was we used the fictitious telco brand in the
Okay.
show. So when we shot the first season of 13 episodes, we then started shopping it around. So the guys at Tisala saw it and they requested a meeting immediately. They really like this idea, and they want to talk to these guys. So we're invited to Ed Salat. Small us. We're invited to Ed Salat's head office. We had like three directors in the room. A director of customer service, director of media, and I think another director of marketing, I think it was. But yeah. So yeah. So we had directors in the room, wanted to hear us. We talked about it, talked about how, there's enough opportunity for brand integration.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, the media buying agencies didn't like us because, it's a very messy game.
You you
And,
sidestepped them to go straight
and I
to the guys.
just honestly wanted to create something cool and that was
Mm-hmm.
for brands and put it out
Yeah.
there. And
Yeah.
and they were very rude to us. And I mean, sometimes I could be a hothead, especially when I was much younger.
Mm-hmm.
So I was trying to even, befriend the guys from media buying agencies, and we're just taking a piss. And I'm like, "Ah, now we raise this money, shoot this thing. Now we producer, now we create this idea. Because they do us like say, we they beg you. I beg F
Mm.
off, John. So yeah,
Okay.
that's how sponsorship model went out the window. And we explored the licensing model, and we actually broke even surprisingly. We got a few channels that paid us to put it on the platform, and yeah,
Mm.
so
Interesting.
that's in 2015. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Okay. That's great. I mean, great journey, right? Great journey. So looking at the media industry today, the content industry today, what do you think has changed, right? From when you started to where you are now, right? What does the industry outlook? What does it look like? And where are the opportunities, and what do you think, for people wanting to get into the industry today? How would you advise them? You know,
So, um, one of the key things I learned is, well, I've learned so far is the industry is really big. I mean, content and media. The industry
yeah,
is really big and it's getting bigger. There are
okay,
so many opportunities, but the greatest mistake you can make is believe you can operate in several niches. You've got to
okay,
pick your niche. You
okay,
cannot operate in several niches. Pick your niche. Say, okay, I want to focus on SMEs. I want to focus on fintechs. I want to focus on. You can have that narrow a niche, and
mm,
you will make good money. And so it's when you believe you can serve everybody is where you run into problems
okay,
because you are really not known for one thing and really not a master of that one thing.
okay.
Because tell you what, as at the time I started in about 2001, the cheapest camera you could get was about $20,000. Today, your iPhone can create better images than that camera.
And that camera,
Do you
okay,
get what I'm saying? So technology becomes cheaper and more accessible. So what
mm,
sets you?
yeah,
Everybody has a camera. So
mm-hmm,
you're not special.
mm,
So what is that thing that the client will remember and say, ah, those guys helped us do that video. The video was effective. Storytelling.
mm,
That is the key. You need to know your niche. And beyond knowing the tools of the trade, the technology, the process, and the techniques, you need to learn the client's pain points.
mm,
Why do brands or companies need content? Why do they need content? What are they going to use the content for? How is that content going to help them? So even if they send you a brief, most times through their agencies that have done the work of ideating the script, you need to
mm,
then add your own knowledge on top of it and say, come on, when we create this video, I
yeah,
don't think they can call it a TV commercial. I don't think it was going to work on TV. This is
mm-hmm.
why. I think, or let's say it works on TV. You can then say, I think we can then help you create
We can
10
repurpose
seconds
it.
for TikTok. TikTok is where the attention is at today. You can convert a lot of leads there. When you begin to talk like that and help them solve their problem, they will always come back to you. So
Interesting.
it's beyond Asabi shoot video, Asabi
Yeah.
bleed, Asabi I can shoot 4K, I have red camera. None
Mm.
of that means anything. No, I can assure you, none of that means anything if you do not understand how
Solving
to
problems.
solve problems for your clients.
Interesting. Interesting. Thank you for saying that. So it means that whether it is a whether it is a creative space, whether it is a startup, whether it's a technology, it's about solving problems. Basically, and
Yeah.
that's what sets you apart. And so let me talk about. Let's get into the merger, right? We've moved from 601 real time to Russian
Rushing to
tap, and then you get in 2021, November 2021, you decide to merge with POV Studios, right? Um, do you want to walk us through, what led to the merger? What were the unique attributes from both sides, that made the merger imperative? Okay, and what has, can you walk us through the process of that merger? Why was it
okay.
important to do that?
Okay, so here are the things. Um, when Rushing Tap started, we produced the first series, and we also were still servicing our corporate clients. We actually went into a bit of digital marketing. We had a unit that was doing digital marketing for some clients, and our niche then was hotels, right?
Mm,
Um, which started picking up until COVID. so so that was the end of that unit because the hotels didn't have the money to pay us. So yeah, and it was interesting because this was in their words a digital marketing agency that could do video. We're already doing video, but we just added digital marketing, which gave us an edge over a lot of other people that were pitching to them, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you know, these are the things that give you an edge. So
Mhm.
I mean, we're doing good. The books were looking good. So now here is one thing that I learned very quickly: structuring your business. So one trick I learned was in doing, for instance, your organogram. You know, you're the only person. Let's not even fool ourselves. You know, you're the only person in the business, or you have one or two other people, right? But create an organogram for 20 years time, right? What the company is going
Mhm.
to look, assuming business goes amazing.
Mhm.
That organogram is what you should create, not the organogram of now.
Of
Create an
today.
organogram of the 50 people or the 100 people. And what you do is that all those roles, duplicate yourself or the other people in those different roles. Fill those roles, but have that large organogram. That helps you think big. That helps you know when it's time to scale. That helps you know, it helps your process as well. Even though you don't have the people, but the process is there. And process is more important than people. My guys, you need to
Mhm.
understand. And another thing about process, like I've said before, I love technology. Hold on, please.
Yeah.
So I love technology, and I always apply technology to everything I do. From my to-do lists to note takings to sketching ideas. There's an app for everything. I have everything synced into the cloud. I've been operating like that forever, and
Mm.
I applied it to my business as well, from the accounting to the project management to emails, automated emails, things like that.
I
I started
remember,
putting
sorry to cut in. I remember that one of the things that brought us together was because she wanted to use one suit accounting that we developed at the time.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I remember
that's
correctly.
that's
Yeah.
when we started really talking. Yeah,
Yes,
because I
yes,
was
yes.
what was that? What were we using? Was it Wave? That free out? Yeah, was it Wave
Yeah,
at the time? But
yeah.
I just knew there was no integration. It just didn't work for. I just
Mm,
wanted something that would be automated. I'm a big fan of automation, by the way.
mm,
You know, automate the mundane tasks and watch your business grow. That's my ideology. So that's how I started putting things in place. And even now, everything we do. For instance, when we started doing checkout, when we started hiring people to work on checkout, we use Zoho today for
oh,
uh,
oh, nice.
complete
They're one of
software.
our partners. Yeah,
No, they have an amazing suite of software, and we
yeah,
use
you
Zoho for
do.
everything. And so when people join the team for a project, we'll have to do that small training and let them know that look, you can't work with us without using Zoho, unfortunately. All our items, Zoho Workspace, which is the cloud storage, you have to use it to put everything. Do you understand? There's other way to communicate or to share items, or we're not going to take Google Drive or Dropbox. No, Zoho, share it, add collaborators, send them notifications. That's how. If you can't do it, you can't work with us. Sorry. So
Interesting.
that's the mindset we have, or I've always had. Keep those processes in place, keep that structure in place, and the thing is, people are watching. I found that very interesting. And for instance, when you had a couple of guys that are having a couple of trains, a lot of companies don't prepare for tax, for instance. And it's one of the things that I decided to do early. That okay, how hard can this really be? You know, I actually went to sit with the senior colleague, the accountant in the senior colleague's firm, and I sat there for a couple of days, and she taught me this is how you keep your books. This is how I had to do it because I couldn't afford an accountant at the time, right? So I had to do it because I knew we were still going to do so. Invoicing and all was automated. But however, how to interpret all of that into your books,
Yeah,
that comes.
profit and loss, um,
So I was
balance
able to
sheets, and all of that. Yeah,
so even when the auditors come, they really literally don't have any work to do, because everything has been done for them. All they need to do is to generate reports from their account software and their work is done. You know. So that's what I built, all the while. So how we got into this merger, one key thing I want to say is when two things, either bigger companies or investors want to get into a sector or an industry, the most likely thing they will do is to buy into an existing company that they see is doing well or aligns with their vision. That's what happens, really. I mean, you see, so what happened with Don Jazzy, even Paystack. So what happened to Paystack,
yeah,
you know. So when they want, companies or investors want to get into a region, that's most likely what they're going to do. It's the easiest, foolproof way. They don't want to start from scratch, right?
yeah,
So if you want to be one of those companies that are going to be considered, you need to prepare. And it's all about all of these things that I've talked about. How structured are you? You don't need to be big. And that's a mistake a lot of people make. You don't need to be big. You just need to be structured. You need to have process. That's all. You don't need to be big. At the time of the merger, Russian Tap were six people. And I say six,
interesting,
not full, three full-time staff. The rest, contract, on and off. That's it.
interesting.
When it's three-bedroom number, right? Because there's no point getting a fancy office, to
Yeah,
people. Why a production company? Well, you don't have time for this nonsense. Equip the post-production units because I'm big on post-production. Equip post-production units. That is the heart of the business because that's where we churn out the content. So, what are the other places? We had an open office. We had my office. It's a three-bedroom. The open office was the parlor. My office was the master bedroom. The the post production um, suite was in another bedroom. There was maybe one more bedroom, which became another meeting room, and we had a staff play area. That's it, and that's how we're able to structure the business and keep it lean. You're not trying to impress anybody in running your business.
mm,
When they're going to acquire you, they're not acquiring the big office. They're acquiring the process. They're acquiring the brand. They're acquiring the clients that you already have.
that you
That
already have.
that's what they're acquiring. So back to the merger. So I had a chat with Olumide Shombo has been a long friend of mine. Olumide, by the way, is the co-founder of Blue Chip
Yes, I
Technology,
know.
also
Of
the founder of Voltron Capital, early stage
long,
investor, very
long,
popular.
long, long time. I mean, long. You remember now? So started the accelerator back then in 20,
Lead part.
2014. Lead part
Yeah, yeah.
back then, and so
We
yeah.
actually went to secondary school together, so I've known him
Oh,
forever.
you did.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
So I've known him forever. So, like I said, people who are watching, as a matter of fact, it's one of the people that gave Rushing Tap money to produce plus 234.
Oh, interesting.
Personal for him and Dejo Ilola, who's not a tech guy, but he's
Int-
also
Interesting. Which means that as far back as 2013, Olumide was already investing in the industry because
yes.
a lot of people would think that investing in where's this guy's work? What's the
Black
name
book,
of this guy's work?
the black book.
Black Book. Yes, that
Nah,
investing in Black Book was the
not
first.
of
There's
that.
a DTF young stuff. Yeah, was the
Every
first
single
major
investment
investment.
Olumide makes, literally, we talk about it, right? So
Mhm.
he's had his eye on the media space since forever. So anytime he calls me up, say, "Hey, Alpha, what's going on?" And he's also friends with Jason Joku.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So
I know that.
when he hears something from Jason, he now calls me, "Guy, this is what I do. Alpha, rub
Mhm.
minds. We talk about the industry, talk about what we think the industry is going. So he's had his eye on the industry forever, you know. And it's
Okay.
one of I have huge respect for. The guy knows you get eye, they see. Do you
Hmm.
understand?
So, so,
So
so which brings me to the point I always tell founders, right? A lot of times founders think that investors are, people that, you don't know, they just come out of the blues and
ah,
suddenly they like your idea. I don't know where people get that whole idea from. So usually when I tell
why
people,
am I in this media?
no, 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 you have to build relationship, right?
Ah,
Go and find out the investors, build relationship. Sometimes the people you want to invest in you are people you already know, right? But
most
they're not
times.
investing because you're not even talking to them about what you're doing, you know. But continue. I don't want to stop what you're saying.
So yeah, so I mean he so one of the things that interested him was, I mean, when obviously been monitoring, the journey of Iroko TV, he knew that.
Mm,
So we talk about it all the time. That, setting up a VOD platform, how easy is it? I told him, Ohan, I said, look, bro, two things are going to kill you: the cost of content and the cost of technology.
yeah.
Netflix went over 10 years without making a single profit. Do you think it's base? So you've got to be ready to sink that money. You've got to be ready. So, so when I see people say how to set up a building platform, I laugh. I mean, they're ready to throw money away first for at least 5 years. You are throwing money away. You're paying salaries. You're paying the server costs. You are buying content because you have to keep your content fresh, and that's the biggest acquisition. Content is your diesel as a company, as a
Yeah.
building platform. So you
Yeah.
have to keep your content fresh. So do you have that money to keep on doing it? Don't tell me you have investors. I said, are your investors are aware that they're not going to see anything for 5 years? You know, and our businesses are just like that. You have to sink in money till they get to the point of profitability. There's no way. There are
Mm,
businesses that are just like that. And media is
mm,
one of those businesses.
mm.
The
So
parent
so
company
let
of
me ask you. Let me ask you
IAC.
this question. I know you're still talking, but let me ask you this question, right? Um, for people who are looking to, fund movie productions today, for instance, what is the best way to structure an investment deal in the movie? Like, I mean, looking at a DTF film, um, the investment, for instance, was on the production of that movie. What is the best way to structure that type of investment today for people? People looking to um, raise investment for a movie production today.
Okay, so one of the things that made um, Olumide and I really start talking about the industry was when he started thinking my brain about the theatrical releases, that cinema releases. And at that time, we had about 23 cinemas. And I told him point blank, I said, we cannot get, filmmakers cannot make money till there are enough transactions, meaning enough screens. We cannot make money with 23 screens. It's impossible until the screens get to a certain amount and there are more transactions. That's when we can begin to talk about the healthy industry. But for now, people are just faffing around. And that's what I told him. And he saw it happen because he had friends that invested in films and they all went squat. So today, luckily, we have other avenues to monetize your film. We're sticking to film now, right?
Hmm.
Still do theatrical. Uh, Sadly, that's where most of the funny numbers are thrown around. Uh, People say I made this money in cinema. No, luckily, we have CAN today, CEAN. That's like the body that um, regulates or the revenue in the box office and all of that. So you
Okay.
can go to that and actually see numbers, right? I
Hmm.
hope those numbers are real. But they give a fair representation of what's really going on in terms of the numbers of the cinema.
Okay.
Um, you will see from there that it's difficult to make your money back from cinemas alone. So if you're investing in a film today, especially today that the cinema culture has taken a plunge, people are not buying movie tickets because one, they're expensive, and two, even the cinemas are not investing enough into the variety of films. Because guess what? The cinemas pay dollars to rent the films. They rent the films from the distributors,
Yeah.
from the Universals and Co. They pay dollars. And they can't be paying dollars for a film that only two people will be watching.
Mm-hmm.
So they need to be sure of the film that they know are either summer blockbusters, already have a cult following. That is where they invest. So that's why you get to cinemas today. I don't see that much of a variety as you used to see before. And Diesel obviously is killing cinemas because they have to raise their ticket fees. Today, the average price is about 5-6K per ticket. That is
Mm-hmm.
expensive. The average Nigerian cannot afford it. Let's not lie. The average Nigerian can afford that for a movie ticket. So um, be ready to almost break even from cinema because let's say your movie does 120 million in cinemas. You're going to take in, that's what you're looking at taking home about 40% if you're lucky of that. So if you spend 100 million on your film, because that's about the going rate today to make it
Mm-hmm.
worthy of the
Mm-hmm.
cinema and streamers, you're going to spend about that on a film. So if you make 120, 40% of 120 is what? 30 million naira.
That's yeah.
So 30 million naira of your 100 million naira. Just are you following the math?
90 million. Mhm.
That's 30 million of your of your 100
So
million.
you never
You
break
never,
even.
do you get what I'm saying? So you have
Yeah.
to then look at other avenues to make money. Welcome the streamers. We're happy they're around. Unfortunately, they're cutting their own investment in our region.
Yeah.
But they're still licensing. They cannot do without licensing. So all that one that they're saying, yes, they won't have originals, but they must license
For the most
because they
license.
need to
Okay.
keep their offering fresh. Again,
Yeah.
content is their diesel. They need to
Yeah.
keep their offering fresh. So they will license. So the ticket items might not be as high as they used to be, but they will license.
Mm-hmm.
So as an investor or producer, you then need to find a way to bring your production costs lower so you're more likely to make a margin. So it's really about the numbers. Look at the numbers. Say, look at the period you want to release in cinemas. Look at other movies that made because you're not that special. I tell you, I can
Yeah.
tell you that you're not special in the cinema because what's going to make people want to watch your movie,
Mm.
right? There are a couple of things that make me watch movies, things like the actor, the marketing drive behind it. But you're not the only one marketing your film now. It's harsh competition. So
Thank
look
you
at the
so.
yeah, okay.
Yeah. Thank you so much. This was supposed to be like 60 minutes, right? Well, we've gone way like, I mean, the conversation is so intense that we've gone way like, I think we're almost like at the 1 hour 30 minutes mark already. This is um like 22 after 6. But let's wind down.
Yeah.
What are, if you have to concentrate, I mean, if you have to summarize your, if you have to summarize everything you've learned, okay, up until this point, and you have to basically condense them into a few lines, and let's say 3 lines, right? What would they be in terms of advice? What you would tell people today, getting into production, trying to build a creative enterprise, a creative business, what would it be? What would be those lines that you would say are the most important lines you would tell people to to watch
Okay.
out
So
for?
I will start with one thing. Number one is uh, never stop bootstrapping.
Okay.
No matter how much money you have in the bank, don't believe it. It's time to hire, time to expand. keep on
Okay.
bootstrapping, stay nimble because the industry is fast changing, right? Today we have a lot of money coming in from YouTube content creators. You need to be able to quickly whip up a team and start creating content for your YouTube channel, right?
Nice.
Stay nimble. Um, and the third one is never forget who you are. Don't let any client or anything change you. You know who you are. You know what makes you a superstar in what you do. Stick to
Mm-hmm.
it. Don't deviate.
Nice. All right. Thank you. There doesn't that it doesn't seem like there are questions from the viewers.
If you ask
Does
questions,
it? Yeah. Please, if you have questions, just ask. Otherwise, I would free Soji to go and do other things tonight.
people got to be
Well, please, if you have questions, please ask. Okay. Well, let me just say that Soji mentioned Zoho. I mean, so Zoho is one of our partners. It's one of our community partners, right? And members of our community are able to get up to 470,000 naira in credit to use Zoho tools, right?
it's yours. Can you join?
No, you can, you can
Our
join the community. You can join the
Zoom is
community. No, no, so you can join the community, but you can't get this. You can't get your hands on this credit. No, because you're already a Zoho customer. This is only for non-existing Zoho customers, right? So long as you do not have a paid account on Zoho, you can get 470,000 naira, and you can use it on any Zoho, um, you know, application, right? And
okay.
amazing stuff that they're doing. So my people would want to put on, and I can even put it up. If you want to join the community, is easy. Just fill out the form, join S2C. Then I'm going to put it on the screen. By the way, just fill out join S2C, and then put out join S2C. Introduce yourself on Slack and ask to be added to the WhatsApp community, and that's it. And then let us know if you are a startup and you're looking to leverage the Zoho credit, and we'll give you the code to do that. All right. So does anybody have questions? Okay, how much can one realistically start to? Oh, so this is a question from um, Domash, right? It says, how much can one realistically start a production company with as a fresher? Um,
Okay, I will. Okay, I don't think it was around when I said, you don't need an office doesn't make the production company,
yeah.
right? It's the individuals and the services that you offer. So you could be a producer, and that's the service you offer. So all you need is the production management software. There's one we call Movie Magic or scheduling, breakdown and scripts, things like that. That's what it does. And that's all you need to run a production company, the laptop that runs that software, right? So you could be a writer, and that's all you need to run a production company. So when it's time to produce, you don't need to own all the gear. So don't get ahead of yourself that you need to own every single thing. As big as Russian Tap Studios is today, we still rent gear
Hmm.
because we don't need to own every single thing. So no, and another thing, before you buy equipment, know, have at the back of your mind, when is it going to pay for itself, right?
Hmm.
You're not buying the camera to look cool. You're buying it as a business investment, and it must pay back. The money you invested, it must pay you back. So if you are buying the camera, know the going rate of renting that camera. So you know how many times you use it for projects for your clients. So you need to know how many times that camera goes out to pay back for itself. So you need to have it at the back of your mind when buying gear. So you can start as small as possible. Quick story. I actually met a guy. We're in Abuja doing covering a fight event, and I met a guy whose specialty is BTS. That's behind the scenes. He actually shoots with his iPhone and edits it and sends to you like the day after. And that's his business, right? So he's focused on the behind the scene. And he does fantastic edits. The behind the scene, all the work that goes into putting together your production. Because you as a production company, you're too busy to even do the behind the scenes. You are focused on delivering for your clients. Well, if you can give that guy, I think he charges 15, 50K and 100K or so. If you can pay that guy, that is amazing social media material that you can use to promote your brand. But that guy is running a
Hmm.
production company, is he not?
Exactly.
But all he has is his iPhone.
Exactly. Interesting one there. Thank you for that question, Domash. I think that's the much we can take in terms of question. I do not even see any more questions. So it's either Soji has been so fantastic. Yeah, he says thank you so much, Soji. So
Thank you,
Soji has been so
Domash.
fantastic that his I mean, it's been inspirational. It's been great talking to you, Soji. I I truly
Anytime, brother.
I cherish this, and hopefully we can have you come over to Port Harcourt in October during our conference. Our conference is October 3rd and 4th. Um, we have
Maybe a
we
new
have a
question
great.
there.
Sorry,
There's a new question there
I
from
think
Paul
so. So let me
Adedeji.
see. Yeah, the energy Paul says. At which point do you determine when the time is right for a merger? Interesting question.
So there's no, see, in this journey of entrepreneurship, and I'm sure Uche can help me out here, nobody really knows what he's doing. We're all trying. No, see, people try to quote fancy words while trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
So it's time for a merger when the conversation starts happening. That's it.
Hmm. That's you're spot on, Soji. Actually, nobody knows what they are doing, and nobody knows. Everybody's trying to figure things out, right? There's a reason. It's just that figuring things out are different on different levels and different
Yeah.
pedestals, right? Even
Yep.
MTN, even MTN is still trying to figure things out.
Yeah. You understand?
so
So
so yeah, so it is what it is. Yeah. So guys, thanks for joining the session. Thanks for asking the questions. It's been a fantastic one today. Um, I will look forward to having you join again next week. Um, Next week we'll be featuring someone, another interesting person. His name is Ugochukwu Aruono. Ugochukwu is a serial entrepreneur based in Enugu. One of the startups, one of the first startups to join the Google Accelerator from the region, right? He's the founder of Zen Finance. Um, and beyond Zen Finance, Ugochukwu runs like almost four different companies, and they're all doing well. And he's based in Enugu, and the guy is just like one of his startups just went to Saudi Arabia and won Ycrypt, got investment. I think got almost $3 million investment. We'll get all of that details next week Friday, and Ugochukwu is going to share with us what exactly um, what is driving him. So I hope to see all of you again next week Friday, and please do well to keep sharing the content, and let's keep the conversation going on social media. Wave chat hashtag wave chat is the hashtag for the sessions. Um, I mean, it's already amazing what's happening with the chat. We want to be able to build on it and grow the conversation. Thank you so much for joining, Soji.
It's an honor.
We'll let you, we'll keep talking. Hope to see you in Port Harcourt in October.
Yeah, I'll go.
Cheers.
All right.
And bye, everyone. It's a wrap from here.
All right. Cheers.